There is some concerns that we need to quickly tackle on the program, and it's going to be about the issues from Kano State. Stay with me for a moment, and let's get some clarity and clarifications about some of these issues. Well, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) has suspended operation at its COVID-19 test center in Kano. That's because the center has run out of test kits. Another news coming from Kano State is that one making news making the rounds on the social media that some unreported cases of COVID-19 fatality have been given mass burial. There has also been a spike in the number of COVID-19 cases, which is giving people concerns. Tonight, let's speak with the governor of the state, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, joins us now from Kano. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight on the program. Let's quickly get some clarity. What have you been able to discover in your investigation into the so-called unusual deaths in the past few days and the mass graves, the story that's making the rounds around Kano?
Thank you very much, my friend from Channel. This question really is an important question because it needs some clarification. First of all, I want to assure you that the information as portrayed by Daily Trust some 2 days ago is that information is not correct because we undertook a survey and investigation, and the initial report that I have received from one grave where some people reported 70 deaths, we found out there was only 13 deaths in that place, and we will soon get a complete report. But I assure you that information is not correct. Looking at previous burials, there is nothing to show that there is unusual frequency of death in Kano State. But you know, there's a lot of fake news going around. We have already started arresting some people, you know, who are peddling such rumors.
But are those deaths you talked about, you have a problem with the figure they're saying, you've told us that the figure that you've been able to confirm so far. But are those deaths related to coronavirus?
Well, only one death so far on coronavirus died. Virus infection. Only one, only one death, only one death has recorded. You know, Kano is a cosmopolitan area, and people die from different type of diseases. But what is important is the confirmation and also to find out what actually killed the people. That requires going to the hospitals if they died in the hospital, or going to the families if they were not taken to the hospital. But as I'm telling you, sadly, there is no unusual burial taking place in Kano. The death is the normal death, and people don't even ask what is the frequency of birth in the metropolitan Kano, which is very, very high. You know, so we continue to investigate, but I assure you from the report that we have received so far, it's not true.
So when you say they are not unusual deaths, is that the kind of scenario that plays out? Because the question is, why are those people dead around that period? And so perhaps the linkage with maybe it's a coronavirus related incident or occurrence.
No, it is not, according to the investigation. And when I said unusual, it's not unusual. I
Okay, we will reconnect with the governor of Kano State, Governor Abdullahi Ganduje. There are a few issues that he's trying to talk to us about. He's clearing the air about the unusual report of the unusual deaths in Kano. He's told us that there's still investigation, and he's been telling us about what they will eventually come out to find out the cause of death of that case. Also, we hope that we'll be able to engage the governor on the situation of things as regarding the test center in Kano State, which we understand that the NCDC said they ran out of test kits. Some information also coming from Kano relating to the relaxation of the lockdown order. The governor, as soon as we are able to reconnect with him, we might be able to get some clarification on that. There are also the concern from the federal government when the presidential task force gave their press briefing earlier today, saying they are aware of the concern about the spike in the rate and the confirmed cases of coronavirus in Kano State, and the issues around sending men and women down into Kano State to be able to rescue the situation there in Kano. As soon as we are able to get the governor, I understand that he's back with us now. Before that glitch in the network, Governor Ganduje, you were talking to us about what your findings are and your decision on the issues of the debts.
Yeah. Well, of course, as I told you, is not correct. But the investigation has continued. But I want to confirm to you that the death recorded was not from coronavirus infection. The death recorded on coronavirus infection is only one, and I think the NCDC is fully aware of that.
Okay. The test center and the NCDC has been shut down. What can you tell us about that? There is an outage of test kits in Kano State. Have you been able to resolve it? How soon are you able to get back on stream?
Well, you know, that big question is really to the presidential task force. It is true that the test laboratory has been closed down for today, and we understood that there is infection within the laboratory itself. Probably some of the technicians have proved positive, but I think the federal government is taking care of that urgently. Also, there is issue of scarcity of reagents and scarcity of the bottles that convey the samples. That one too, we discussed with the DG, and they assured us that they are taking an immediate action. But you know, the implication of that is that those people that we are supposed to test their condition, they continue interacting with the people, and that will continue to multiply because it's a disease that even if you have it, you don't know. Even if you transmit it to another person, you don't know. And in the overall, it is encouraging community transmission of this disease. So I hope the earlier, the better. We have that testing laboratory on the ground. In fact, we are looking even for additional, considering the size and the population of Kano State.
Are you getting, Governor Ganduje, are you getting the needed and the required cooperation with the federal government in tackling or curtailing the spread of the coronavirus in your state?
Of course, we are getting the cooperation of because there is always synergy with the task force. They even sent the DG was here for one day, and he assessed our problems, and has gone back, and I believe something positive will be done about it. But you know, the major issue is that of financing, which also we have already written to the federal government, and I believe the federal government will do something about it. So what is important really is building synergy rather than developing a kind of blame theory. I think we are working together, and we continue to work together.
Have you received the emergency task force or the man that the presidential task force said they've sent to Kano to help out due to the spike that you've seen in the confirmed cases in Kano State?
Well, we are still expecting that one.
You have given an order about the lockdown instructions and restrictions in Kano State because of Ramadan. Tell us the decision that you have given out earlier today about your decision on the relaxation of the lockdown restriction, Governor Ganduje.
Madam, please come on again.
All right. You gave some information out. You gave an order about the restriction of movement and the lockdown order in Kano State. You relaxed it because of Ramadan. Tell us about that.
Well, of course, we started by blocking our borders, even though that one has been, affected by interstate transportation. However, we have locked down the whole metropolitan Kano and the whole state, and that is working well. But you know, the security agencies are terribly, overloaded. Some are working on the border, some are working within Metropolitan Kano, some are working in other local government areas. But still, with the cooperation of the people who are trying to make sure that the lockdown is effective. But you know, Ramadan is coming, and the lockdown was initially for 1 week, which is expiring tomorrow. So tomorrow we declared from 6 a.m. to 12 midnight tomorrow. We allowed it to be a free day so that people will get ready for preparation of the fasting period. But by 12 midnight on Thursday, then the lockdown will continue until another 7 days.
Let's take a short break now. Governor Ganduje, please stay with us. When we come back, we will be getting some more information on how Kano State is handling what has become the third highest rate of confirmed cases in the country in the coronavirus. Don't go with us. More with Governor Ganduje after this break. Join us again, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. We've been speaking with the governor of Kano State because there seems to be some situation in that state, which, of course, is told us earlier that is much under control. Test center in that state has been shut down momentarily because of the outage of test kits. Governor Abdullahi Ganduje has been our guest on the program tonight. Thank you so much, Governor Ganduje, for your time tonight. Let's get back to the conversation, and especially on how you are handling the situation in your state. What is the capacity of your isolation center in Kano State?
Thank you very much. We are really very, very serious and active on this issue. We are building our capacity in terms of physical development and in terms of manpower matters. You see, for physical development, that is the development of the isolation center. We have three types of isolation centers. The first one is the one that when we bring people for testing, before we declare the result, we keep them in an hotel. Each one will be given a room to avoid an infection. So after taking their sample, when it has been tested and the result is out, if the person is negative, then we allow him to go home. If he is positive, then we take him to isolation center number 2. Isolation number 2 is for people who prove negative, but their cases are not serious cases, so we keep them there for attention and medication, as the case may be. And the third type of isolation center is the one that people who are infected seriously, who are in bad condition. We take them there where we have full medication in terms of monitors, in terms of giving them oxygen, and in terms of getting full attendance. And some of them may be even put into ICU for total, taking care of. So these are the three centers. So far, we have a center which has 100 beds at Muhammad Buhari Specialty Hospital. And then we have a center which has 70 beds with ventilators and monitors, and all the doctors and nurses and the pharmacists are already there. And also we have another isolation center at the Sani Abacha Stadium, which has 250 beds. And also the first type of isolation center where we keep people temporarily, that one we hired a hotel, which has 63 beds, and we are using that place in order to keep people who are waiting for their results. But from what we have seen, especially with the stoppage of the testing center, I think a serious action has to be taken immediately because those who are suspected of being infected are going around, and they have not been captured, and they have not been taken. The sample has not been taken, and that one will continue to multiply. But we are increasing our capacity in terms of manpower.
So how much, in terms of monetary aid that you've gotten from the federal government, how much have you gotten from the federal government?
No, we have not received a single kobo from the federal government, but we have applied for billions of naira. I think we applied for 15 billion naira so that we will be able to attend our immediate problems. First of all, we have to purchase a lot of this personal protective equipment. We have to also pay all those voluntary health workers who are in thousands. We have already screened them. We have already found out they are capable. And as you know, we create more testing centers. We require more people to attend to the testing centers. And when we are pursuing those who are in contact with those who are found positive, we have to continue trying to trace them and bring them for testing. So you can see that. Hello?
Okay, so yeah, I wanted to ask
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
have you
yeah.
seen there is being a story about the vaccine, the yellow vaccine liquid in a bottle that has been hawked in Kano State. Have you seen it?
No, I have not seen it. Only on the social media. I think it's a social media vaccine because we investigated. We have not found anywhere. We have not found anybody that has seen the bottle of that fake vaccine. So I think it's a social media vaccine. And because of these social media, problems, I have already signed a regulation for this pandemic period that will enable me to punish all those who are spreading rumors and things like that.
So, how many people have you tested so far in Kano State?
I don't have the actual figure now, but we tested hundreds of people. But the testing center has just been, open about some few days ago. So for some time, we are sending our sample to Abuja, which took time. But now with the testing center, we have increased the tempo of testing the people. But I assure you, very, very soon, we are going to have a large number.
Okay, so now, are you worried? In the last 1 week or so, the figure in Kano State
Of
spiked.
people
It has
to
gone
be
up.
tested
Are you worried about that?
because so far we have on the line thousands of people, I mean hundreds of people. Worried is building our capacity in order to track the content, the contacts, to track the contacts and make sure that the samples are being taken and make sure that they are being quarantined until the result is found. Otherwise, you see the thing will continue to multiply in that direction. But we have to create more testing centers. Apart from the cosmopolitan city of Kano, we have 44 local governments. And from the look of things, there is community transmission of this coronavirus. And since there is that transmission, then I think there is a peculiar and huge task before us.
So finally, before we go, Governor Ganduje, the Almajiris, you made a very strong position about the Almajiris. Are you also concerned about the level of hygiene, which may also be responsible at some point for, according to scientists, in the transmission, especially that's gotten to the community transmission stage?
Thank you very much for this very important question on Al-Majri. We have formally closed down all our educational institutions. But as you know that the Al-Majri school is not a formal school, it's a type of school that has only one hall or one big classroom where the children are concentrated and they don't have any sleeping area. They have no food for that. So because we have also banned the issue of begging, we found out that this Al-Majri system, we have to dismantle it. So we have taken a census of the Al-Majri system. We have over 500,000 of the Al-Majris, and we have started distributing them to their respective states. And I'm happy to say that we are getting the cooperation of the states. But before we convey them to the states, we do a preliminary investigation to find out whether they need testing for coronavirus, and we hand them over with the record to the state that we are transporting the children, so that the health officials will take it over from there. So there is no doubt that Al-Majri system, especially when we declare that education in Kano State is free and compulsory from primary to secondary education, that shows that we have to dismantle the Al-Majri system. And I assure you, we are taking advantage of this coronavirus period to ensure that we dismantle all the Al-Majri system. Those children, Al-Majris who are from Kano, we take them back to their parents. And if their parents do not agree to put them in the conventional school, then we take them to the court. But to our surprise, there are even some children that cannot even tell you their parents. They cannot tell you where you can take them from. Some of these Al-Majris are sleeping under bridges, are sleeping in the motor parks, are sleeping in garages, are sleeping, by the side of the road in some places. So all those children, we have collected a number of them, and we provided boarding schools for them.
All right.
Where we provide them with
Governor Ganduje.
curriculum of
all right.
And also we provide them with the feeding and clothing. So this is how we are taking care of the Al-Majri system here in Kano.
Well, thank you so much. That's Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, Governor of Kano State, speaking to us about the efforts of the Kano State government and what has become a concern about the spike in the figure of coronavirus case in that state. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Governor Ganduje.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I must sincerely also thank my panel in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for spending the time with me on the program, Mr. Daniel Boala and Mr. Kasim Afegbua. My sincere thanks for coming on tonight. Please, that's our show, everyone. Thanks for keeping company on the show. I'm Sean Akimale. Bye for now.